Hello, everyone. I am so sorry that I'm late. Thank you all for watching and for joining me today. We have a little bit of a special edition this week, mainly because I wasn't here last week for my live stream because the weather, as you know, if you have been hearing about Texas in the news, we kind of went through a little bit of that. So I kind of wanted to have some friends that are going to be joining me tonight. And they're going to talk a little bit about their experience, what they experienced during the Texas winter snowmageddon is, I guess, the best way to put it. So you can see other people's experiences, kind of what they went through. If you're watching this live and you have questions for us as to how we handled certain things, we're also going to be talking a little bit about, maybe some other people, some other loved ones that we were checking in on and how they handled the cold and the lack of power and what they experienced. So I hope that you enjoy this live stream and you get kind of a little bit of perspective kind of moving forward, especially if you're considering moving to the great state of Texas. This will kind of help you get and give you an idea as to kind of what we went through and experienced, and hopefully maybe calm some of your nerves. And Texans are tough. So if you're watching this, just know that Texans are tough through and through. We got through it and we survived. And I'm going to kind of slowly bring some people in. Now, these are people from all over the state. So first up, we have Ian. He's obviously from Austin.
Hi, everyone. Hey, how's it going, Rebecca?
And then we're going to have Rowena. She lives in Irving, so she's on the opposite side of town that I'm at.
Hello.
And then we have, am I saying it Rod? Is it Rod or
Rod?
Rad?
That's right, Rod.
Rod.
Come on,
okay.
Rebecca. Either one works. How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and so Rod is in New Braunfels, in that area. And then one of my closer neighbors, he's kind of phoning in right now. He's at a kids event, but we have Tommy that's going to be with us. There's Tommy.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Tommy.
So both Tommy and Rowena are both, I'll call them civilians because they're not real estate agents. Both Ian and Rod and myself, we're all in real estate. So y'all are you get the non-real estate experience this time if you're watching. So
that's news to me. I didn't know that. That's cool.
So I guess we'll go ahead and get started as far as everything goes. We'll start with Ian because I know that he's got to jump out here onto another stream with another good friend of ours. So he's going to be, we'll let Ian kind of start and then we'll just kind of go around and share a little bit of the different experiences. So what was it like day one? Tell us a little bit about what you experienced.
Okay, this is interesting and a little bit unfair. I am kind of an avid camper, and I'm from Chicago. So let me start by saying that. Yeah. And so and what makes matters even worse is I didn't lose power or water or anything. Okay. Which is crazy, but so many people did. So day one, I was out driving it. I was like, oh, this is fun. This brings back memories, right? And then it turns out what happened is the rain, it was super cold and it would rain and it was so cold that ice would start forming on everything. So even if you can drive in the snow, you cannot drive on ice. Ice and rubber, they don't care. They don't mesh, right? So it was still very slick, very dangerous. So people that were on mild inclines, they would just be sliding. It did not matter. So that was the first thing. The second thing is you have your trees. The trees were inundated with weight. These trees aren't made for this. And so I had a tree, after day two, I had a tree taking a nap in my driveway. Big old oak tree, and the thing, it was just so heavy. Tree limbs breaking all over the place, cracking. And it was just, It was quite incredible. And then people were losing power, people were losing water, and the people that didn't lose water, some people had pipes bursting inside their houses, inside. And if you have a pipe burst, the way our foundations are set up, we don't have basements, right? So we've got, you have a lot of issues when your pipes burst when it comes to the flooring, potential mold in the walls, depending on where this is. There's so much more to it than it looks like when people just hear, oh, well, it's just snowing in Texas. Why is it such a big deal? Tell them to light a candle. They'll be fine. Doesn't work like that. There's too much. And then there's the infrastructure is a issue as well, because not only can people leave, nothing can get to you either. So grocery stores, food trucks, all that, they just, like HEB was out of it. They couldn't deliver their food.
Restock, yeah, and restock.
We couldn't restock. That's what I was looking for. So anyway, all that's my day 1 and 2. It was quite surreal to see everybody kind of going through this. I'm snug as a bug. I put on a couple coats, couple layers, and we turned everything down. So we turned everything down because it was a request that to conserve power for everyone else. So we really wanted to do that.
Yeah. And we had someone that's gonna join us real quick. So this is Steve. If Steve, you could say hey for a little bit, tell us where you were at during the winter storm, and I'll let you go next. I mean, we'll do that.
I jump in late and I get the next spot. Look at that, man. That's the preferential treatment. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm in McKinney and in the country area of McKinney, and inside. I guess you'd say north. I'm still kind of getting used to north of the 380. I get laughed at now that I say the 380.
The 380.
Yeah. So
you're originally from?
I'm originally from New York and New Jersey, but I came here from California, and apparently, I guess that's a California person thing to say is the 380, the 40, whatever the 75. So I'm not giving up on it. I kind of like it. I guess it's got character with that or something. But yeah, I'm north of the 380, and it was. I went to school in Wisconsin, so I like the gentleman from Chicago as well. Some cold weather, been in 70. Wind chill factor below zero type crazy weather back in the days there. But I haven't been in a while. So this was a rough couple of days. The house is a new house that we purchased here a few months ago, and love it, and everything's modern, new, and fresh. But once the pipe froze up and we lost water in more than half the house, I had to start thinking kind of calmly and clearly and try to figure out what it was. And I was determined to resolve it. Got up into the attic, found some section of pipes that were out of the insulation. Was able to get a heater up there and defrost that section out, and learned quickly, even water dripping. To keep that water flowing, keep the electric. Thankfully, here was stayed on, but I feel very bad for a lot of other people. I've heard were much worse off. We made it out then to some stores. The food shortages had started and other stuff too. So I think we were very fortunate. Had heat, had electric and water most of the time. So can't really complain. And I don't mind cold and snow a little bit. I mean, it was a little crazy, but I didn't mind it. I think it gives you some character too.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we're gonna we'll go next to Ian on my screen, how it's kind of set up. So we'll go with Rowena next, ladies first, and then Rod we'll go to you next.
Thanks so much, Rebecca. Well, am I the only native Texan on here?
Ouch. Ouch.
Okay, you're okay. Ian, I didn't hear. So you're a native Texan as well?
Mm-hmm.
Ian, okay. Well,
no, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, native Texan, 39 years. I've been living here in Texas, in the North Texas area. I live in Irving. If you know the city of Irving, there's different areas of Irving. I live in Valley Ranch, which is where the Dallas Cowboys used to practice. Historic Valley Ranch, that's where I live. It's pretty North Irving. Being native Texan, someone who has not ever in my entire 39 years of life has ever experienced anything, negative, whatever degrees, never experienced anything like that. I've visited Colorado And I can say this past week, I feel like I lived in Breckenridge, Colorado. We live in our house, we're the original homeowners, and we built our house 14 years ago. So it's not that new, but it's also not that old. We were part of the subdivisions that actually lost power and heat for 2.5 days. We experienced the rolling outages. Strangely and thankfully, we never ran out of hot running water, but we did experience rolling outages where we had so over like 50 hours, over like a 50-hour time span, we had 6 to 8 hours of absolutely no heat, no power. And then we would have relief for about 1 hour, if we were lucky, 2 hours maximum. But it would happen very intermittently and randomly, sporadically. I can't tell you that there was really a trend other than we had 6 to 8 hours off, but 1 to 2 hours on. And I have my husband and I, we have 3 little boys and 2 dogs. And we were, I mean, again, blessed that we had hot running water and we have all the like food and rations, everything to get us by. But it was, again, being native Texan, not experiencing weather below 25 degrees on a normal basis. Literally, we watch as of Monday morning, which is when our power shut off. We watch temperatures literally just drop, like plummet. And then, so Monday goes by, we have the rolling outages. Tuesday goes by, we have the rolling outages. But inside our home, thankfully, it never went below 53 degrees, which that doesn't sound that cold.
That's cold.
Neighbors, not like within a 2-mile driving radius, actually experience like 27 degrees Fahrenheit within their home during this time, which is like mind blowing to me. In our master bedroom, we actually have a fireplace, and my husband learned through our little neighborhood text thread how to hook size D batteries to our gas fireplace. And like at the flip of a switch, even though we were having power outages, he was able to light our fireplace in our master. And so our family was literally huddled there for 2 nights. And it was like we were camping. And I'm a city girl, and I glamp. I don't camp. Okay? I only glamp. And I've actually glamped in New Braunfels and Austin. But anyway, yeah, we were very blessed to have that. And our house has tile roofing, and we're a stucco home as well. So I don't know. I'm not a realtor. I don't really understand architecture of a home, but I feel like our insulation, our tile roofing, our stucco home, like all the things helped keep us a little bit warmer than some of my other neighbors who lost power just as long as we did. I can't even imagine having young children being inside your home all bundled up and it's not even 30 degrees inside. That's just that's not okay.
Yeah. So
this, again, being a city girl and being very blessed with all the comforts and luxuries of life, it was shocking. And I will tell you, I almost, even though we never actually had like pipes bursting or anything like that, I mean, I'm so blessed that never happened to us. I do have a little PTSD. Anytime a light flickers or some weird creak in the house, like creaking noise, I feel like our electricity is about to go out. I've been experiencing this since last Wednesday morning. Last Wednesday morning, our power turned back on. And like every little weird thing happening in the house, I'm feeling like the electricity is going to go out. But we're doing great now.
Yeah. Wow.
Crazy.
Wow. Okay, what about you, Rod? What did you experience? I'm catching myself with your name.
Well, first of all, thank you so much. Oh, you're good. It's Rod, whatever you want to call it. Rowena, wow, that's a story. That is a story and a half. You guys have really survived. I mean, that's, wow. Thank God for the fireplace, because 53 degrees in the house, that's pretty cold.
That's already cold, but it's not.
I have to say, I'm from Michigan, so I was laughing. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying 53 degrees is definitely survivable, right? You just kind of layer up.
Yeah. That's what we did. Broke out the gloves, broke out the hat. So this like came in handy last week. So I'm originally from Michigan. So I wasn't laughing, but it just it was all like, what do they call it? Mind memory. Me and the 2 other guys from Midwest states were kind of used to this, but I hadn't seen it in years. And so it, obviously caught us off guard. But, all of a sudden I just kind of went into that winter mode, like, okay, I've seen this before, right? I've got to stay calm here for everybody. And it was interesting. The morning of the snow. So the morning, it snowed overnight. and we had all that snow on the ground Monday morning. It was like, if I can put this visual in your head, when Dorothy's house crash landed in Oz, and she opens the door and sees, color, right? She sees Technicolor, and then she sees the Munchkins. So we opened the door on Monday, and we saw like all a new world, and that was magical and I guess frightening at the same time. I have to pretty much go out and get things and so forth. So I was, at the grocery store or water. It was basically 15, 20 miles an hour the whole time, maybe half mile to a mile away. We had a couple nights later, was it Wednesday, I think, we had rolling power outages. So we had several throughout the night, and then it kicked back on for good, actually, overnight. So we didn't really experience the cold, but we lost water as far as there was an advisory in effect. So we did without the tap water for a few days, and obviously we rushed to the gas station to, I hate to say this, the hoard. It's bad, I know, hoard water, and then made our trips to HEB to make sure we have enough water, not only for us, but for our dogs as well. I think all in all, though, we handled things really well. Eating was not our top priority. Making sure that our dogs were taken care of were our top priority. And we had heat, and we had power, for all but a few hours on Wednesday. And we just got water back on Sunday. But interesting enough, as it relates to real estate, a couple things. One, I was determined to do even though it's cold outside, the market is still hot video, which I did. So I layered up. I was at 5 layers, like 5 layers of clothes. And I'm from Michigan, 5 layers, 5 socks. And I stood out there in one place at Landa Park for 90 minutes. Okay, like everything was one take. One, but it was still long. So it was 90 minutes. By the end of the 90 minutes, my feet and my fingers, but I was determined to do that. And then I think Friday, when things pretty much cleared up, I had a buyer preview, a virtual one, at a house in the Hill Country because they had suspended all showings there throughout the week for obvious reasons. You can't make it up the hill. But walked into this house virtually with our buyers, and there was an inch of water all over the first floor. And the realtor said, hey, it's a good thing you got there when you did, because it apparently just started that morning. But yeah, we're talking about frozen pipes. I mean, whether it's here or Wisconsin or Michigan or Jersey or Chicago, it doesn't matter. Everybody in cold weather states gets these burst pipes. It doesn't just happen in Texas. But yeah. I got to tell you, I'm very impressed by the people here on our team, the people in the city. It seems like whenever Mother Nature is at her worst, our community is at its best. So overall, thumbs up.
Yeah. You're like a commercial for Texas. I love it. That's great.
I do want to say that, the act of generosity that people extended all around, whether or not you had it bad. I mean, if you had it badly, you were offered help. And if you were not even affected, other people were hosting families in their home. I mean, our family got hosted by another family for like a warm dinner one night, which was so nice. I mean, it's just the acts of generosity were like so huge.
And the people, it's interesting that Rowena said it best. Like when people come from other states, that's the first thing they notice. Honestly, it's not the hills, it's not the shops, it's not the restaurants. It's not the fact that we're in between two large. It's none of that stuff. It's like, oh my God, I bumped into this person at Buc-ee's by accident, and I thought they were going to kill me or yell at me. But they turn around and apologize to them. This is what people get when they come. They can't figure it out. They're like, hey, what do you want? You're nice to me. What do you want? But exactly what Rowena said, this is what people run into. That's what really, I guess, clinches the deal for them and saying, this is a great place to live. The people are nice.
And Rod, I'm so sorry. I feel like I keep talking, but just to piggyback on your point, because I'm a native Texan, whenever I travel anywhere outside of Texas borders and people are not as friendly or accommodating, I'm shocked. I'm like, isn't everybody nice?
Yeah.
Because everyone I'm around, strangers or not, we're like, people are just fast friends, instant family. That's such a Southern hospitality is a real thing. And it's just what I've always just understood. And when people are a little less than warm, I'm not shocked.
Yeah. I agree. I'm totally not used to the trust, the instant trust and the confidence from people. It's like, what we do requires us to do community stuff and, with cameras and stuff. And they're like, hey, come on in. You want to meet the owner? Sure. Have a seat. Have something to eat. I mean, that would never happen. And seriously, you'd have to go through like 10 people and they'd have to know your blood type and your mother's maiden name. I mean, it's not like that. It's just like, this is cool,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we have one viewer, Michelle. She's one of my regular viewers, and she said, one thing, fireplaces will make a comeback in Texas. I think so. That's if I were building a house, that's not something I would kind of scamp on or skip. That would be an important factor for my next purchase. And then she also said that she said, my house was around 30 degrees from Monday at 7 a.m. until Thursday at 10 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
On and off.
Wow. So what did she do?
That is not okay.
I don't know. Maybe she'll comment. If she's watching, we should comment to let us know what happened, what you did.
I'm so
Hey,
sorry.
Rebecca, you mentioned something about the fireplaces. I spoke with 2 builders over the weekend, and they said they're getting a lot of requests now for generators. These are custom home builders. So whether it's installing them or the infrastructure, whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like this where you are, where any of you are actually, but here we have in Austin, we have builders that are building these houses, but they're not necessarily running all of the utilities. So like natural gas and such. And so we have a lot of neighborhoods that are all electric. Do you have that? Because that is what caused a big portion of this problem, right? If they're all electric, what do you do when it all goes out?
Right.
Mm-hmm. I had some clients that they're purchasing a home here in the Dallas area because she had gotten work here in the area, but they were staying temporarily at his brother's house in Killeen, which is not too far from Austin. But same story, no fireplace. The home was all electric. And so they were trying to make do, and they've got kids as well. I know that several other families that I've talked to, friends, family members, said that one of the nights, one of my friends lives in an apartment, and they said, well, the apartment complex, they totally went out with power. And most, I would say, apartment complexes are not going to have gas. They're going to be mainly electric, from what I remember being in an apartment. And so what they did is they got in their car with their kids overnight, and they just turned the car on 30 minutes and then turned it off, and then turned the car on for 30 minutes and then turned it off. And I was just like, you should have let me know, because so my experience was not very dramatic, to say the least. I was actually more concerned about other people, calling people. Are you okay? Are you okay? We lost power for 30 minutes. I have a gas fireplace and a gas stovetop, so we would have been okay either way if the power would have gone out for any period of time. We had hot water continuously. McKinney wasn't under a boil, I guess, warning. There were even some of the after effects, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but after everything melted and you saw pipes burst or freeze, or burst from freezing as a result, a lot of the power water plants that we have that generates the sanitary water conditions all over the state, I'm sure, either didn't have enough electrical power to get up and start running and producing clean, fresh water for people, or it was frozen, So it was either one of the two possibilities that kind of happened in that situation. But we really didn't have it too bad. I was more concerned with, like, if we go out and enjoy the snow, like if we come back in and the power goes out, how are we going to, like the kids will be it's a little bit harder to get them kind of warmed up. But we were reaching out to other people, seeing how we could help. Another one of my friends had lost power. She hadn't cleaned her fireplace in a very long time, so she was not comfortable with like starting it and getting that going because she was like toxic. People were starting fires in fireplaces that they hadn't started in a long time. They didn't maybe necessarily know how to open the little vent hood.
Mm-hmm.
Carbon monoxide could have creeped in and got you that way. So it was kind of a risk that maybe some people took, but she decided she didn't want to. So we offered our house to her, and she pretty much, she was going to come over with her dogs. And I said, no problem. We've got an upstairs loft. You can hang out there. Her husband was recovering from COVID. He was on like the last, and he was like, it's okay, honey, you just go. And she just couldn't, Luckily, after she tried to get a hotel. All the hotels were booked. She just was looking for any way, shape, or form not to inconvenience someone. She finally found a friend that had a separate room for him and so he could still stay isolated because we're still in a pandemic, which is crazy. And we're also experiencing this at the same time. So that's, it kind of makes it a little bit more difficult, I think. But there was no lack, I believe, like we've been talking about, of just that hospitality, extending that hospitality to people, and not necessarily worried about, anything to do with the pandemic. So Michelle said this. I know we're all hanging by the seat of our pants here. Michelle was saying that she just got lots of blankets, and then also warming in the car, and the fireplace helped out. We had to ration the wood. That was another big thing that I saw as well. People trying to get firewood, and there was a big long line, I think off of the 380, like Steve mentioned, off 380 to try to get some firewood. And I don't know how many people really got it at the end of the day. Do you have any other, so this was kind of the first couple of days. We got the snow coming in. Day one was like a little dusting of snow. Day two, we got even some more snow on top of that. And a couple of days before that, we had the ice, like Ian was mentioning. In Fort Worth, there was a terrible, terrible accident off of, I think it was 35. It could have been one of the toll roads, though, I think, because they were saying there's some sort of lawsuit involved with that. It's showing that, maybe the toll people in charge of the toll road didn't properly ice the bridge, or not ice the bridge.
De-ice.
De-ice, there you go. De-ice the bridge, not ice the bridge. They didn't properly de-ice the bridge, and it caused that big pileup, one after the other. Some people survived, some people didn't. And that was pretty scary. I watched a couple of the replays and the videos on that, and that was a little bit, scary. What are some stories that some other friends have told you what are some other experiences that maybe friends or family members kind of told you? What did they experience, I guess, through all of this? We'll start with Steve. We haven't heard from Steve in a while.
Well, my brother slid off the road. He's crashed on the side of the road, so he's a little bit of a casualty to it. He was okay. The car has some damage, but it'll be fixed. Again, with the nice people, in keeping with the theme of nice people and people who help. He was, it was kind of a country road. It was dark, and he was in trouble. He was in the ditch, and the car was not moving, and people stopped. And he made a friend that way. Actually, made a couple of friends. That friend had a tow guy with a tow truck. They tried to get him out. It was just too iced in, but they tried. They took him home. They got him back to his house, and he made new friends from that. The next day, we got his car out, and we'll get it taken care of and get it fixed up. But he was, he unfortunately it happened, but fortunately he was not hurt. So that was good news. And again, for me, I feel again fortunate because it seems like everybody's had a bit of hard my little pipe freezing issue. I don't think was a very big deal in comparison to a lot of people, but I'll tell you just for me, sometimes you look at these times and you think about how to make the best of the worst situation. So, for me, while you're locked at home, I'm not able to go out and shoot. I'm not able to go out to car shows. I'm not able to do a lot of the things that I'm normally doing. So I was able to do, Rebecca, you'll be proud of me. I was able to focus on this gone this long real estate course, man. Oh my goodness. This 180 hours, that's about 1,880 hours at this point. That nonstop. This is the most. It was a lot easier in California, I got to tell you. There were I could cut corners there. I could kind of move ahead a little bit. I can get to where I needed to be for a test. And oh my God, this thing is a killer. That's what I was doing right before I even picked you guys up. I'm taking my chapter 4, or the fourth course of the 6th, the final exam tomorrow.
Because you're online. You're doing it online, right?
I'm doing it. Oh my
That's
God!
No joke here. Definitely no joke here.
It is no joke. It is no joke. I am so. And Rebecca, I moved here in September. All right. And now, granted, I had a lot of stuff going on. It was hard. I wasn't able to focus. I signed up for that course, that CE course that you guys sent me back then. And I swear to you, I have been working what feels like literally, just nonstop. And it's creeping slowly. That has that scale, 1%, 2%. It feels like I'll spend 3 hours and I haven't gotten more than another % or 2 on this scale. And there's just no way to get ahead. You got to, yeah. So, but anyway, that was a great week for me to take all that time with nothing to do. So I want to tell you, I got from like course 2 to course 4 in a matter of record time, I think, in CE shop history. So that was positive.
Nice.
Well, we have Tommy back online. I'm gonna add him again to the stream. So Tommy, tell us a little bit about what you guys experienced during the Snowmageddon.
Well, first of all, sorry I had to jump off a little bit. I lost connection. It was but,
You're good.
The whole snow experience, it was weird. Like, power went out, and it was probably we lost power for about 2 days. Maybe in between we had 2 hours of power. Luckily our pipes didn't freeze, but I did had 2 rental units. One of the units did freeze, and I'm going through the whole insurance process with that and the whole HOA and fun stuff. But I'll be back out there tomorrow just dealing with all of that stuff. But it's just been I guess a learning process. I just posted on social media that I was going to help a few people, which I'm glad I did, because apparently a lot of people didn't know what to do when their pipe freeze, and I was able to get some of their water lines thawed out. But yeah, fun.
Well, good. So did you experience any of the rolling blackouts that during your time?
I don't know if you'll call it a rolling blackout. My blackout probably lasted a good 12 hours before we had power again. And that was like within a 2 day time span. But yeah, we're still here. We're breathing, so we're good.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for that.
Did you have any gas heat? Like a gas fireplace to kind of lean into when the power went out?
I have a gas fireplace, and apparently it only works when the electricity is on. I did not. So when we did have power, I would turn it on, and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna get the house warm at least." And sure enough, when the power went out, we lost the fire too. So yeah, that was
Man.
Definitely need to look into that we do have power. So, I'm probably gonna change that out soon.
Yeah, there's probably got to be some sort of a hack. To get around. I think, didn't Rowena, you said that you had like a hack?
Yeah. So in our subdivision, in our neighborhood, somebody on our neighborhood group thread said that because we have gas fireplaces that are ignited by the flip of a switch, obviously the electricity went out. So when you flip your switch, it wouldn't turn on. However, when you pull this bottom panel, sorry, I'm married to an engineer, but I'm not technical. And I'm not a realtor, so I don't know the terms. But there's this, metal panel that you can remove off from the bottom of the fireplace or gas fireplace. And it had a little compartment for a pair of size D batteries. And if it weren't for this genius neighbor down the street who said on our thread, if you have D batteries, put 2 in, and then you should be able to as soon as you flip your switch, your fireplace should light on. And it did. It like worked 100%. We just miraculous. I don't ever use batteries. We happen to have some stored away. And we had enough to share with our next door neighbor who also has the same fireplace situation. And it was like really a saving grace. I don't know. It would have been a much different experience, I think. And I mentioned earlier, Tommy, we have 3 little boys. They felt like it was like camping out. They thought it was an adventure. Whereas I'm sitting here nervous in the dark corner, like, oh my gosh, are we gonna make it? And are we ever gonna have electricity ever again? It was just a time of uncertainty.
I looked in the panel and I did not see a spot for batteries. All I saw were a bunch of wires. And of course, I didn't want to mess with the gas and electric, and not knowing when the power was going to, turn on. Of course, I could just hit the circuits, but whatever. I mean, I was out. I don't know. I wasn't thinking straight.
We're all in survival mode in our own ways, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think what's interesting about that, Rowena, is that if you're in a neighborhood where it was the same builder, or a lot of, that's the secret, right? Because every builder or everybody that has a fireplace has the same model.
Correct. Yes.
And so really it was the genius of it is that you actually had a way to communicate. There's so many people that don't even know their neighbors 2 houses over. And so I guess my hack would be next door.
Yeah.
Right? You can't guarantee that your neighbor's going to be on Facebook, but you can guarantee that a large portion of the neighborhood is going to be on Nextdoor. It's free. It's like Facebook. Mostly cats are getting lost, but that's okay because in an emergency situation, when all the power goes out, you probably still have your cell phone.
Right.
And so you can hop on Nextdoor, and the internet will work even if your Wi-Fi is down and everything else. So should be the last resort for many people.
And I'm really impressed with our housing subdivision, our neighborhood. We do have Nextdoor, but I guess the whoever is leading our HOA president, I don't know, started a WhatsApp group thread with everybody in this area, and that makes it a little bit more intimate, not just the lost cats, lost dogs, like on Nextdoor. It's direct one-on-one contact, and everybody was checking in on everybody, and it was honestly like such a saving grace for us.
Yeah, I know that Ian's going to have to jump off here in just a little bit, unfortunately.
I got to go. Sorry. Got more streams. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rebecca, for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good to see you. So I want to talk a little bit, too, about some of the aftermath. I think that's important as well. I
lost connection again.
I'll keep removing and adding you to the stream as I need. Don't worry.
There you go.
So I want to talk a little bit about just kind of the aftermath. Was there anyone, either someone you knew or yourself, that experienced any type of water break or leak, or maybe a neighbor or family member that had some issues like with pipes bursting, or maybe issues with water? Because I know that in several cities there were boil, and I don't know if they're boil requirements, boil warnings, to where if you a lot of the the water sanitation sites weren't able to operate, and so if you were in a certain city or a certain area, you would have to boil water in those types of situations. So we'll start with Rod, and he'll let us know what he experienced aftermath wise.
Yeah, so we had a boil water advisory probably for it seemed like 3 or 4 days. So it just required us to obviously boil the water, made sure to cool down so we can put it and clean the dishes, and bought water. Nobody really. We had buyers here from California who were held over an extra week, and they actually stayed in Austin the second week, but they couldn't go back because their flights were canceled. Everything heading out that way. But as far as, I think the only pipe scenario that I went into was just previewing that house and getting to the house and seeing that there was an inch of water throughout the first floor, and it actually came from, because this house sits on a hill, and it has an outdoor pool, and it also has a outdoor shower. So that was exposed, it burst, there was no way to turn it off, and they eventually got all the water out. But as far as anything serious or anyone we know that had any serious, pretty much similar, you know, Rowena has this, you know, they've got this WhatsApp chat. Here we have what's called, it's a really useful Facebook group. It is called New Braunfels Local. So people are able to kind of in real time, you know, post different things like, here's what to do, here's what not to do, here's where to go, here has water, this place doesn't have water. So it's just, you know, the technology part of us really keeps us in the loop, and many times makes life a little bit easier.
Yeah, I mean, I think that something else too that you brought up, kind of a good comment about communication. During the time when we were having the outages, I mean, we're AT&T carriers, and it was probably really bad trying to get a hold of people. I would try to call people and I wouldn't get through to them. If their power was down at that moment, like I know that I couldn't call them, it would be kind of hit or miss. Even texting them, a lot of the texting was delayed between service providers, depending on the tower. So I did have a harder time, I think, communicating within that first couple of days, I believe. And then as far as the whole aftermath, I mean, we did have one pipe that froze closest to the exterior wall in our kitchen. And we just opened the bottom cabinet and let the heat kind of get in there for, you know, about 24 hours and just kind of open the faucet a little bit. And that seemed to kind of do the trick. And we didn't have to get a hair dryer or cut a hole in the wall or do anything dramatic with that, thank goodness. And then our line to our refrigerator also froze up. And then kind of once we started to get a little bit warmer, that actually came kind of back online in full circle when it came to some of the like water area or pipes kind of thing. But I am still going to get it checked out, I think, by a plumber, just to make sure there was no like damage between the wall and that kind of thing. I don't want to have any issues with it later. So, and I know that my one of my good friends, her husband is a plumber, and she said that he's just been nonstop round the clock, from place to place to place to place. Another friend in my office, she lives in Adriatica Village, and the sprinkler system in the apartment, well, I guess it's like a senior living apartment kind of complex. She said that she was in the shower, she heard the alarm go off for like the fire alarm, and she rushed out. She was in the shower, so she had to like rush out and like get dressed really quick, put on all, you know, clothes and get out there. And she opens her door and there's like a flood of water like coming down the hallway from a sprinkler I guess malfunction in the hallway, and it was just like spraying out water. She said her friend's apartment was totally ruined, totally damaged. She actually called 911, called the fire department. They came out and turned off the water main in that complex. And I think she saved a lot of damage to that particular property that she was staying at. But she said as a precaution, she just put everything like on the countertops, made sure that none of her stuff was touching the floor, and just in case something were to happen and she had water seep into her unit, because she's on the bottom level. So I can't imagine. I mean, and she said that she's like, they're going to turn on the water today, and I hope that there is no like residual damage that, you know, we don't know about, and it starts to flood after they turn it back on. So yeah, I would assume they would try to figure out what the problem was before they tried to turn the main water on to the whole building, but you never know. So I think she'll be good, but she was just like, and she didn't have power too. I mean, all these poor people in an apartment complex, a lot of times they don't have a fireplace, they don't have gas, anything. It's all electric. And, you know, a whole lot of people being displaced. as a result of that. So, and also too, I did notice the food. They were saying that one story that I read had a lot of the animals, like a lot of the farmers here in Texas, they were saying that some of the they were having a hard time keeping the animals warm. As a result, any, chickens, sheep, cows, anything that you can think of, trying to keep them warm was very difficult because the power kept going on and off and on and off, or it shut off, right? So animals, livestock could have probably died, perished, crops were ruined. They were also saying that one of the milk farmers in Texas was saying that they had to throw out a whole thing of milk from a whole day or two's worth because right after you milk the cows, it goes to they pasteurize it, right? Mm-hmm. So there was not enough power at the pasteurizing factory or company so they had to dump it all out. I mean, it's all wasted, right? All of that time, energy for that farmer is gone. So I know that several farmers and any of those that have any type of livestock, I know that they're going to be really hurting really bad as a result of just everything that went on during this time. So
Rebecca, you mentioned, I'm sorry, you mentioned, sorry to interrupt, you mentioned animals. And I remember that day that we got all the snow and how our dogs, one's a shepherd mix and the other's a Dachshund, how they would react. And, the Dachshund was scared. She just did her little, just peed outside instead of doing number 2 and then just came right back in. The shepherd mix was, she was startled, but she kept walking in the snow. But I feel bad for the animals because I know we have no way of protecting ourselves. We don't. We're Texas. Look, it doesn't make sense to buy, plows and everything for once every generation or 100 years. So there's really nothing you could do. You can prepare for it. You just have to wait for the sun. In other states it's like just another day, but you can't do that here. But I feel bad because you see. Yeah, I mean, it's like their first time. It's her
first time
for
in
everybody.
The
but how do these animals react? Yeah,
we have 2 dachshunds. We have 2 senior dachshunds, and they start trembling, and just like you, they'll go out to do their business, and they're like, "No way, I'm not getting in that." They turn right back.
I'm doing it on the floor inside.
Or exactly, and they'll go, "I'll go right here on your rug."
Never get rug, never get carpet.
Well, Sky is 6 months old, and she liked her first time in the snow. So I think she had a great time. Sky. It was a little weird for her at first. Hi, Sky.
Well, when the sun came out, the dogs actually liked to frolic in the snow. When the sun was out, it was a little warmer. They felt like the pillowy comfort of all the powder. That was kind of fun to watch. But before that, when it was dark and it was just the snow just pummeling, animals do not like that, especially the native Texan animals. It's just not weird.
Yeah.
Things. Oh.
Bye-bye.
Everyone's affected.
So I know, Steve, you mentioned some pipes that were frozen. Did anything happen as a result of your pipes? Did you get them all thawed out, and was there any damage to them?
No, I learned a lot about my house. I learned about how the flow of the water in and up and out and through, and learned more about tankless water heaters by studying my own, and went up and was able to self-diagnose the problem, which I was proud of, and then come up with a solution and able to freeze, target in on where I thought the problem was, and then able to defrost that, and then continue to keep the attic warm enough so that didn't happen again, and the water just dripping at least throughout the house. But I was able to determine at that point where the last sink was that serves water through from those pipes. And by knowing that and learning that, I was able to understand that if I keep water flowing to at least that, I tried to keep all of them dripping, but I knew if I had water flow going to there, the other pipes were likely okay too. So it was a good learn. I don't know. It was a week of a lot of learning and a lot of things, and then a week of thinking about preparation for prevention of the same thing another time. I have a generator. I lived in California before I came here, so power outages were common. I have a Craftsman generator. I had a sub panel in my house in California that allowed me to put that generator on, plug it into the sub panel, and at least still power the refrigerator and the kitchen outlets. You know, that was a nice option to have. Of course, a higher end option is whatever. I think somebody was mentioning it before. A lot of people obviously built in, you know, diesel generating systems for their homes that are, you know, quiet, efficient, you know, and are going to fire up and, you know, at least serve, you know, if not all of your house with power, you know, at least the major areas, so you can keep at least that refrigerator, you know, and a heater and you know, plug in a phone or something, you know, going. I think that's a great learning experience. I learned about, you know, these pipe, you know, a pipe, just a little section of pipe. You know, pipe in my house has got to be going, you know, 100 feet this way, that way, all over the place. But one little section, that much just coming out of that insulation was enough to freeze up that area of pipe with no water flowing. So that was that I don't know, a lot of science, a lot of physics, I guess, a whole lot of different things. And then the other thing is too, it gave me some time to think about the preventative side of not just being prepared if a power outage with the generator, but those pipes, you know, there's very simple, easy solutions to keep the pipes warm in the houses. It's not expensive to do it. And there are ways to do it. There are circulating systems that are pretty much DIY type things that you can put in at your tankless water heater or at your water heater to keep water circulating through the pipes in the house. There's also very cheap things on Amazon. Of course, they were all sold out when everybody needed them. But if you go on Amazon, you can buy these just electric cords, they look like, that are little heating elements that you wrap around those pipes in the exposed areas, plug them in, or a lot of them have thermostats and they self-power themselves. And then, you know, you can, I think with some preventative, you know, actions in advance, I think, you know, we can't guarantee what's going to happen, but maybe some of us get a better chance at some of these issues not coming up in a time of emergency. Yeah, if you don't have a heater, good luck finding one. I went out Saturday or Sunday morning, just decided to walk into Walmart and see what was up. I mean, you'd think it was what is that? The after is it not Christmas? What is that? After Thanksgiving? Black Friday. Black Friday. You would think it was Black Friday in the heater section. I mean, I was waiting for people to start duking it out over heaters, and I'm like, you know, but there were none left at the end, you know, anyway, and not good luck trying to find one. So you're too late at that point. Keeping a gas tank full in the car, I think, is a really important thing. A lot of people run their gas tanks down, you know, I think is a regular habit. You know, a half a tank should be an empty tank. So, you know, fill up at a half a tank. That way, when gas shortages were happening, when that's going on, you're worried about what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? At least, you know, you got, you know, a half a tank or better in one of the cars, and you're not running out of fumes, you know. So I don't know. I guess you think about these things, and then you hope to be a little better prepared before the next time it happens.
Yeah, I was a little bit. Steve mentioned something about going into Walmart or going into the store and you know, duking it out for a heater. I went into HEB. I think it was Saturday or Sunday, and I just started to notice empty shelves, and I'm like I'm not used to that, you know. But I always see the memes like of Texas, if it gets cold, you know, basically Texas is closed for business if it goes below 40 degrees. But I never really got it until like really this state really shuts down. Like I mean, anywhere else it's just, you know, 17 inches of snow, stores still open, restaurants are still running, but I never got it until I actually experienced this. So I'm grateful that I experienced it, because now I know what people talk about when they talk about, well, when the weather conditions get adverse, this is how it is here.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything. And while people up north may be laughing or snickering or saying we get it every day, hey, look, man, if you're not used to it, it's a different story. It's like them coming down here during the triple-digit heat of the summer with no rain and saying, "No, I can't stand this." Well, now you know.
Yeah.
Listen, look. I mean, in Los Angeles, where I came from, right, you know, before I moved in here a few months ago, a rainstorm, you know, causes extreme, you know, panic situations in LA. Okay, people can't drive. People's tires, you know, have no tread on them. I mean, you know, because it hardly ever rains. When it does rain, the roads become slippery from oils and other things that are in the ground that come up. So, yeah, I mean, your point is good. You know, I mean, if you're in Wisconsin and you're looking at the people in Texas, you're calling everybody a bunch of lightweights, right? You know, and saying what's going on. But when you're down here and most people are not prepared and understand how to deal in these or drive on an icy road, or drive, or what to do when the pipes freeze up, or how to prevent that from happening, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, there's no need to be prepared. I hate to say it, but I mean, you always want to be prepared. But I mean, what do you have to? I mean, this happens every 100 years, whatever.
Remember,
it is. What do you have to prepare for? Why waste your time preparing? It never happened.
Exactly. I'm a native Texan, 39 years, and I do remember throughout the course of my life a few snow days and getting to miss school. And maybe it was like about 10 years ago when the Super Bowl came to Arlington. Over at AT&T Stadium, it was days of snow, but it wasn't like all of Texas shut down. It was really surreal, and I would almost say apocalyptic, because all the stores, all the restaurants, all of the Walmarts within like a 6-7 mile driving radius were shut down completely, turning people away. And that, I mean, I've never experienced anything like that. That was, I mean, it was like, are these the end times? What's happening? It was, definitely like scarcity. Scarcity is kind of an understatement. I was like, I felt like there were moments where I felt like there was no end in sight.
I think generators are going to become like
the hot new item.
Right. I just think so. I think wherever you're at, because people are looking at Texas and saying, "Look, if it can happen here, it can happen in LA. It can happen." I don't know. I mean, it can happen in Phoenix, I mean, so it's, it's like insurance, right? You're mostly paying because you don't use it, but it's for that one time moment that you need it, that it's going to come in handy. So,
right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with you, Rowena. I mean, I'm a native Texan as well, and I haven't seen it engulf the entire state at the same time. I think that's the biggest difference that I've noticed. I mean, we've had, weather, cold weather, sleet, ice, hail, tornado, see it all. But statewide, like something like this all the way down to, as far south as, Austin and Houston. I mean, that's really unbelievable. This is not a small area of the United States. It's a huge area.
Right.
So for the entire state of Texas to go, lose power and have these problems, I think, I think they were saying that it happened to the entire state maybe 100-something years ago.
Oh my gosh.
But as far as like for Dallas, now Dallas is separate because we're on the north side of Texas. So we do see, I mean, every maybe 10 years we'll have a good solid snow, or maybe a little bit less. I mean, I remember when Max and Angelica, Max was probably 5. So, and he's 8 now. So maybe like, or not, he's 9, sorry. Maybe about 4 years ago, we had another snowstorm with a snowman, a couple days later it melts.
Right.
But not anything as drastic as the entire state covered in snow and experiencing the power outages and severity that it was. I think that was the biggest difference. And I think also too, the amount of snow that we received, I don't remember it being like 5 or 6 inches of snow, even in some of the worst years.
Right.
It was mainly maybe a dusting, maybe it would stick, maybe you'd see flurries, and then it was gone like the next day. Or maybe we have a couple of inches, you build like a tiny snowman like this tall, and then it's gone and melted. If you packed it in really good, that little snowman could last for a little bit longer as it melted, But yeah, I mean, something that hits the entire state so hard, I haven't seen anything like it in my lifetime.
It was for such a long time. It wasn't just like, okay, it's snowing outside, it's flurries, let's go take a video and post it on Facebook. Oh my God, look, snow in Texas. It was like, it started that Wednesday, the temperatures started to decline. And I rolled through Green just to see what it was like. It was a ghost town. I mean, it was typical tourist trap. There were 2 people down there and just in jackets like this, crossing the street, and the rest were vehicles just passing through. So it started Wednesday, the temperature started declining, and that was and it lasted, think about it, almost 10 days. So it wasn't just hey, it's cute, it's snowing, it's gone. This is like a 7 to 10 day thing, which is, I mean, which like really anywhere is a big deal. But I mean, in here, it's catastrophic. Because there's nothing to plow. There's nothing to melt. And when
Correct.
temperatures get that low, I'm sorry, but that rock salt, and I know this, it doesn't work.
Mhm.
So I don't care. All the salt you had at some point didn't work. So,
Yeah.
you know, it didn't matter if you were north, west, east. We had the 1-2 punch. I mean, we had a double whammy. We had snow, 5.5 inches here, and we had at one point feels like -8 degrees. But pretty much for the whole week, it was single digits. The feels like, or the real air temperature here in New Braunfels area. But I mean, it wasn't just a cute 32, 33,
Nope.
34 degrees. It was like I'm freezing my blank off. You know, and I'm from the Midwest. I'm like, damn, it's cold.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, and Denise is on. So Denise has a YouTube channel, and she talks about being prepared in her channel. But she says, "Hey Rebecca, it sounds like a hot mess." Yes, Denise, it was pretty dramatic. And she lives in Indiana, so she's from up north. And she says, "We're not snickering. We get that you don't have the things to take care of the snow," and I think that's a big, factor. Now the heat. I was in New Orleans and thought I'd die right then and there from the heat. It was terrible.
Well, the humidity in New Orleans is something else. That's a little. Yeah.
That's a different kind of humidity.
Yeah, that's pretty miserable. And she
Anytime
said,
it's like Houston, right? Anytime you're near an ocean, you're going to have that kind of humidity. So.
"Oh yeah, it's miserable, disgusting heat if you're close to the ocean." So we got 11 inches, and it took a day for the streets to get plowed out. Wow, Texas is you're not on the national grid, correct? We have our own grid system.
Correct.
Ohio and Michigan come to our rescue when things get a little crazy. So that's kind of nice.
Wow.
And then she also mentioned power outages and the water scarcity. That's crazy. We still have mounds of snow everywhere, but the streets are clear. However, we did have a blizzard in '78 that took more than a week to dig everybody out. Yeah, that's another extreme, scary situation to be in. And she says, "Oh, the rock salt works in the ice when the snow's been scraped. It won't melt the snow." I'm sorry, Red. Where are you from in the Midwest? She's asking.
Oh, Michigan, Detroit.
Okay.
So I'm happy that Michigan helped you guys out. I think everybody helps each other out at particular times. And yeah, I think my family was more snickering more than anybody else. But they were all asking, "Hey, are you okay? Is everything fine?"
I'd have to find out if you were a Wolverine fan or a Spartan fan first, and then I did.
Definitely
okay. I would. I don't know if I'd help you out so quick. on Wisconsin, right?
There you go. Hey, that's actually, believe it or not, that Wisconsin thing, that's a fight song of the New Braunfels High School. It's because during one of the wars, the Wisconsin National Guard rolled through here, and there's more of a story to that, but it's freaky because that's their fight song.
It is number one song in high schools in the country, or was that with the Notre Dame fight song? Was the University of Wisconsin fight songs, and unfortunately not hail to the victors.
So see, Rebecca, we're going from the Weather Channel to ESPN.
Hey, I got to get going, Rebecca. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I really got to jam out.
Yeah. Need mommy.
We're gonna say we'll just wave goodbye.
All right, guys. Thank
Then
you.
we'll go ahead and stream. It is pretty late.
Nice
so
to talk with you all.
yeah,
Nice to meet
good to see you.
Good. Thank you.
Enjoy the sun.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Oh. Thanks everybody for watching, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below after you watch this video, and I will see you on the next video.